Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to do the question and answer video that I announced a few weeks ago, and I will try to answer all your questions that you dropped me in the comments. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first question from Badr Bianouni: will you consider a two-tone Rolex, specifically a sub bluesy? What do you think of the Rolex Yachtmaster 40 with the rhodium dial? So the Rolex bluesy is definitely not my type of watch. It looks way too bling bling, and I would find it weird to wear a diver's watch with gold parts. I would prefer a Datejust if you want to go for a two-tone watch. I think those classic Datejusts are really beautiful pieces, and they perfectly match the two-tone theme. Then to your second question, the Rolex Yachtmaster 40mm is definitely a cool watch. Actually, one of my friends here in Dubai, he recently bought the two-tone rose gold version of it. So I had a chance to try it on my wrist, and I also saw it, I think a year ago still at the ADs, and I think the case shape is very nice. It's some kind of a more dressy, elegant version of the sports cases. I think it comes pretty close to the Daytona case. And the rhodium dial also looks pretty cool, especially with the light blue second hand. I'm actually always somewhere in between the blue or the rhodium dial. I like the blue dial a bit more, but then I don't like the red second hand so much. And the rhodium dial looks also cool, and especially the second hand with the light blue tone looks better, but I could imagine it will get a bit boring over time. And then there are of course also some downsides to the Yachtmaster, and that's the water resistance, which is only 100 meter, and I think that's a bit weak. So it's actually the same like the GMT Master 2, but 200 meters less than the Submariner. I think it would have been a lot better if Rolex would have positioned the Yachtmaster at maybe 200 meters, like somewhere in the middle between those two models. And besides that, for the Yachtmaster, if I would get one, I think then I would bite the bullet and go for the full rose gold version, because the ceramic bezel looks pretty dope on the watch, and the rhodium bezel, I'm not such a fan of it. I mean, I think there are only downsides to it. It's quite soft and very sensitive for scratches. So yeah, as a conclusion, I would say the Submariner is the way better watch for actually less money, but of course more difficult to get. Next question, what's your opinion on Nato straps? I don't like most of them because they make the watches more bulky on the wrist and increase also the height how it wears on your wrist, but there are still some cool ones out there, like these kind of para jumper straps that I put on my Captain Willard. Those are super comfortable and look pretty cool. So yeah, I would say mixed feedback. Then next question, is the GMT2 on Jubilee too small at 40mm, or will Rolex make it 41mm? I actually think the size of the GMT Master 2 is perfect, and I also don't see any reason why Rolex should change the case. So actually that they bumped up the Submariner, I think there was maybe also a bit pressure from the market that there's like a trend to bigger watches, and then especially divers watches are usually anyway on the bigger side of the range. But for the GMT Master 2, I wouldn't see any need to do the same move. Then will Rolex be more influenced by emotion while buying a piece? For example, getting a watch faster because you have an important event in your life, or getting a milestone watch or something like that. Thanks. I think that depends from AD to AD, but some will definitely support an important event, as a Rolex should be seen as a reward for something great in life. So something you can always link to that, and by that you will also keep it until you maybe hand it over to the next generation. So I guess, for example, maybe you achieved something like founding your own company, or you won a marathon or something like that. then I guess most of the ADs would more likely reward you than a random person buying it because of boredom or so. What do you hate, love about the hobby? I think this is a bit linked together, what I love and what I hate. So on the one hand, I love the community for sharing knowledge, entertainment, hunting together and just enjoying the hobby. But on the other side, I hate the competition within the community with a lot of lies, cheating on each other and also rude behavior just to get an advantage for a hot piece or so. Besides that, I personally also enjoy the hunt for special pieces. I enjoy making these videos, sharing the content with you and discussing what's going on in the watch industry. And yeah, besides that, also our watch club is a lot of fun for me. Best $1,000 watch you would buy. So I actually own close to $1,000 watch, and that's the Captain Willard in my collection, and I think that's a very special piece with a pretty nice history to it, and you get a lot for your money if you buy that watch. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite piece in the $1,000 category for now. I have a 2018 11-6610 LN and a 2006 16-570 Polar Dial, and thinking about selling them for a bluesy. Do you think it's worth it at today's market? So I haven't checked what are the market values of the watches. I guess for that, best if you put them in Chrono 24 into your watch collection to see what's the current market value of them. But besides that, without knowing the market value, I would say no. The 11-6610 LN, so the black old submariner, is a super nice piece. I actually have one myself in the collection. And as said in the first question, I'm not such a fan of the bluesy, so yeah, that's why I would not make this trade. Kermit or Bad Girl, if you own a Pepsi, then the Kermit I would say, but if you don't have a Pepsi or like one of the GMT Masters in your collection, then I would say take the Bad Girl. I love the Jubilee bracelet more. The GMT function is pretty cool, so you actually have, besides the date, another complication to the watch, and I think the overall look is just better. It's just a more special watch, the GMT Master versus the Submariner. Also, I think for daily usage, the GMT Master wears better and is also more practical with the 2 time zones, or actually 3 time zones that you can read on the watch. Then the subclasp is also a bit too bulky for me, but again here we are at the daily usability where I feel like the GMT Master is more comfortable. How can watch companies stop flippers? So I actually thought about that topic quite a few times, and I think they could hold back the watch papers, maybe, I don't know, for a year or so. I know there's often a lot of controversy in the industry from the buyers about this topic, but I mean, if you're planning to keep the piece and you're not planning to sell it and it's only for a year, I don't see a big problem actually if the AD would keep the warranty card or whatever. And by that I mean the flippers could probably not sell the watch because the set wouldn't be complete, and by that would be pretty difficult for them to do that, as they don't have unlimited money. And if they buy such a watch, they must keep it until they get their warranty card then actually. Hello brother, what is the main key of success behind your success? How are you decide to hunt for such a perfect watch? I'm a student and work as a health worker. Prefer me a watch I didn't have experience of watch buying. I think one key is definitely quantity. So as you maybe know from my videos, I went to unbelievable many Rolex stores. I called hundreds of Rolex stores, and in the end I found a few good Rolex stores that supported me on my watch hunt. And so there was kind of a shift from quantity in the beginning and until you filter to find some good stores, and then you focus more on quality. So that means you buy all your pieces from those specific stores, you connect with them, you call them every now and then, And yeah, I said you just try to keep and build a good relationship with them. I think that's the key. Most difficult date just to get, I think the Wimbledon dial 41mm fluted bezel Jubilee bracelet, and then same specs, just change the dial to the blue stick dial. I think those are the two most difficult ones to get. What camera and microphone do you use? Always impressive quality. Thanks for that. I have a Sony Alpha 6400 with the standard Sony macro lens, which I actually would prefer to change, as it's always a bit of a problem because you have to get so close to the watches and then it's difficult with the light. That's also a reason why you often see me making those shots outside at the pool area where we always have super strong sunlight. And besides that, I'm using an iPhone 12 Pro Max and a Rode microphone. What is your favorite James Bond watch from any of the 007 movies? Yeah, I mean, as a Rolex Pepsi fanboy, I would say the Casino Royale 1967 Rolex GMT Master. But as the watch should suit the James Bond theme, I think Submariner is a much better watch for a special agent, so I would give this to the Rolex Submariner reference 5513. What do you think about Tag Heuer? What do you think about Certina? I am asking because I'm considering getting a Certina DS Action 43mm or a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 41mm in quartz. So I think Tag Heuer is a pretty nice brand that definitely everyone knows in the industry and in the watch collectors scene. However, nowadays I feel they're a bit too expensive for what they deliver, and I would usually prefer an Omega. Certina, I had no touch point with them yet, but I guess they deliver good quality for the money. Besides then, they are not very appealing from the brand point. So what would be my advice for you? I'm not sure how expensive these two watches are, but if you can maybe put a few bucks on top and you could get the Omega Seamaster, like the white dial, black bezel on the rubber strap is a pretty cool one, or the full black one, I would go for that one. If you definitely want to stick to one of those two pieces, I mean, then you have to decide, are you more like the guy who wants a nice brand on his wrist, or are you the guy who wants more value for the money? And yeah, either way, then you can decide what's more important for you. How long is the waiting list for Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi? I think there's no such a thing as a waiting list. I would say it depends on how good your relationship to the dealer is, and how much you have spent at the store. So it could be from a few minutes. Let's say you have an incredible relationship to them, you spend unbelievable amount of money there, and you tell them, man, I just need now a Pepsi, whatever it takes. Maybe then they would maybe give you one right away, as they might have one in the back in the vault. But if you have not a good relationship with them and you haven't bought anything over there, it could also be that you maybe never get a Pepsi. So yeah, not that easy to answer. How much money would you say you are comfortable to allocate to watches yearly? This depends a bit on which kind of watches I can buy. If most of them are very desirable ones, I might allocate more money than for the watches that are losing a lot in value right away. It also depends on how many cool new models are released that I like, and how many watches are also getting offered to me, and how big my overall income is at that time. So maybe up to, I don't know, $20,000 I would feel comfortable. If it's getting higher than that, yeah, those must be really cool pieces that I'm lusting for, that I feel still comfortable to buy them. How to get GMT Master 2 Batman from AD quickly? Quick answer, there is no way to get it quickly, besides if you spend a ton of money maybe. What major difference does a watch make in your life? It reminds me of buying quality products, taking care of my stuff, not wasting anything, and also striving for good results to be able to afford such beautiful watches. What do you think of Breitling and vintage watches like Oya? Vintage watches look great and are, for me, some kind of like small time capsules that tell a great history. Unfortunately, I don't have the knowledge to comfortably buy those pieces, especially the old Breitling 806 is a very beautiful piece. So if you do the research and dive into the vintage market, it can be a very rewarding experience, I guess. I'm just not yet there at that level. Your opinion on the 5712 would be cool. Yes, definitely a very nice unobtainable piece. In general, I'm not a huge fan of the Nautilus. I would actually prefer a 5164A. That's by far my most favorite Patek Philippe. What do you have against the Bell & Ross insurance company? Just kidding. What are your thoughts on a two-tone Daytona? Would you consider one? Also, I'm going to do a video on contentment in the hobby for my channel. Have you reached contentment with your collection? Yes, the Bell & Ross logo is just horrible. In case they watch this video, guys, please change it. I always have to connect it to a marketing agency or something like that. So yeah, I guess you heard me saying that in one of my other videos. And as said earlier in the video, I'm not a big fan of a two-tone submariner, but as the Daytona is a much more refined and not so bulky piece, I think it is okay as a two-tone version. Stainless steel would be, of course, my favorite option, followed by a full gold piece. So two-tone would actually be my least favorite option, but still a very nice piece. And then to your last question, to the contentment. Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy with my watch collection. I mean, I think there are some super nice pieces inside for which I was lusting like crazy, like the Pepsi. Then I have the Speedy, with which I fall completely in love. So yeah, I would say I'm pretty happy with it. I feel like I would love to have like one real banger high horology piece, like the 5164A, for example, or something else. Yeah, and then give a bit more variety maybe to the collection in the future. So to see what other brands can offer and add here and there something. But yeah, overall for now, after only 2 years, I'm super happy with my watch collection. And yeah, the full update of the watch collection, or let's say about the luxury watch collection that I own, will also drop soon. Did you buy a $1.36 million house to get the visa? No, I'm here on a work visa, so I don't need to buy a house to stay in Dubai. Two-tone battle. 41mm two-tone sub versus 43mm two-tone sea dweller. Which would you pick between the two? Or would you keep 40mm bluesy if you had to trade for one? Pooh, man, this could be a two-tone sports episode, I think. So many questions to it. I actually don't like any of the mentioned watches, but if I had to choose one, I would take the smallest of them, so the 40mm bluesy. As said, I somehow don't like these big bulky watches that come with gold on them. What is your goal with collecting watches? From your videos, we have seen you buy a lot of watches in a very short time, as if you were racing to reach a particular goal. While there's nothing wrong with that, I thought it would be interesting to know what's your direction. So I actually don't have a specific goal with my watch collection. I think I just buy what I like and also what I can get. Maybe I would like to be able to buy another grail piece like the Pepsi was and is still for me, but I would definitely like to step up the game to one more level above that, and that could be a piece like either the Lange und Söhne Odysseus, or how I would say Odysseus, or a Patek Philippe 5164A. So those are actually my two favorite watches from high horology watch brands. Then besides those two, as they are like nearly impossible to get again, I would also consider like a full yellow gold Day-Date as a super cool grail piece. So let's see which kind of grail piece I will add next to raise the game a bit. And yes, I bought a lot of watches in a short time period. A few reasons for that were upcoming price increases. I'm not sure what's going on with the market right now, but here in Dubai, the ADs, they are like increasing 3-4 times per year the prices. And then I thought like, okay, why shall I wait if I can buy the watch now and probably avoid those price increases? So yeah, that was one of the reasons why I rushed a bit into buying those watches. And then I also learned, sometimes you have to pull the trigger quickly in the watch industry, otherwise you might miss the train. So I had a few experiences where I missed buying the watch, and then later on it was impossible to get the watch, and I don't want to experience that again. So yeah, if I feel comfortable to buy the watch and I love the watch, I will do it right away and don't wait any longer for it. Do you think the watch market will ever correct, or is it the fact that we will have to pay premium prices forever to get the popular watches? So I would say yes, it will definitely correct. I mean, currently it's just completely crazy. I mean, look at some of the Rolex watches, like the Oyster Perpetuals. Yeah, trading at what? Like, I don't even know that anymore because I'm actually not interested anymore as they are so far out of reach. But like the Tiffany dial, what is it? Like $15,000-$16,000, and the retail is what? $5,000. Yeah, it's completely nuts. And I don't think it can stay like that. I mean, I'm always wondering if the companies, like the manufacturers of the watches, if they are not getting like a bit annoyed by that, if the retailers and the flippers and so on making more margin on the watches than actually the manufacturers themselves. So yeah, I mean, either they are getting annoyed by it and they will bump up production, so they are pushing out more watches, and by that the prices will come down. Or what I could also imagine, I mean, over I would say the last 2 years, the whole industry got so hot, and it can also happen the other way around, that it cools down within 2 years again. So we don't know, but I'm sure it will not stay on such a high level. That would be just completely crazy. Why no one talks about Karl F. Bucherer? Because I don't have any watches of them and no purchase planned yet, so limited stuff that I could cover about this brand. If only one Rolex watch you want to buy from AD, how do you approach to your local AD? Is YouTube, in terms of famous, helping you to get your desired Rolex sports models? Thanks for adding that. Love and respect from India. So yeah, Praveen, actually a very good subscriber, long-time follower of the channel. So happy that you also dropped a question. And I think, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, YouTube definitely helps to get cool watches. Like it helped me to get the Pepsi, and probably also, I'm not sure. I think it was basically the Pepsi, the Bad Girl, and the Kermit that I got through my YouTube channel. And it was not because of fame or anything. I think it's just because of the reach the YouTube channel creates. You know, by that I can reach up to maybe 100,000 people with some of the videos. And then it's a bit of a numbers game. Yeah, if you reach out to 100,000 people, there are always some cool guys in there. Maybe some people who work at ADs and they like you and they say, hey, look, we could maybe get a good relationship, you could become a good customer of us, so we offer you this piece or so, you know. So I think it's more the reach. It's definitely not fame or anything YouTube brings you. I mean, I always have the feeling that many of the brands, they definitely don't want people to think that it's easy to get the watches, yeah. And if you're a YouTuber and you could walk into any store and you get everything offered, it could also create a wrong picture to you guys out there. So I would say, yeah, then probably some of the brands would rather avoid selling pieces to YouTubers. So yeah, that's my feeling on it. What is your view on Rolex reducing the size of Explorer from 39mm to 36mm? I can only say I love my 39mm. I don't think it's too big. I actually think it's the perfect size. Besides having, let's say, a Submariner, a GMT Master, it definitely feels smaller than those watches. And I think 36mm is too small for such a watch. I mean, if I would be climbing a mountain and it's dark, I want definitely the bigger dial to have a very good legibility. So yeah, for me the 39mm is the king. Is it possible to get a Daytona on retail? Yes, it is possible. There are still a lot of them sold at retail, but again, the key is your connection to the store to get one. Where can I buy a new Rolex Batgirl from a Rolex store? How about the waiting list? Not sure. Try with the stores around you. Waiting list will be there for sure, but also, as I explained earlier, it doesn't have to mean anything. If they say we put you on the waiting list, yeah, it can take forever. But if you start building a relationship to the store, if you buy some stuff, it will definitely be a shorter wait. What was your net worth approximately when you decided it was appropriate to splurge on your first high-end watch? Oh man, it's also very difficult for me to answer. I never checked what is my net worth, but if I make a very, very, very rough guess, maybe 1 million euro. But as I said, I really don't know. And that was maybe like 2 years ago or so. Will you review a Doxa Sub 300 and Sub 300T? If I could get one for a review for sure, but not plan to buy one for now. So probably there won't be a review soon. Is the Sky Dweller Rolex most complicated Rolex watch? Yes, the Rolex Sky Dweller is the most complicated Rolex watch. So actually the movement has the highest amount of complications and is also, as far as I know, the most advanced movement that Rolex produces. And by that also the amount of Sky Dwellers that Rolex can produce is quite limited. Why are you the only watch YouTuber that doesn't show their face? I think you mentioned before you are not a really rich or famous person. Why all the secrecy? I mean, you play the AD game well, finding those magic ADs that will sell you the stainless steel stuff, but I don't think any of your watches or content really impresses anyone, as plenty of dealers and YouTubers show the same stuff. I can understand if you have a collection in the tens of millions and remain private or for security, but you just have some stainless steel stuff that everyone else has. Not a big deal, and it just hinders your channel growth. Nobody really wants to watch the invisible watchman. They can just look at the catalog. So also thank you for your question. So I actually like to keep a bit of privacy, even if I'm not a VIP, famous, whatever, super rich person. I still love my privacy, not showing my face to each and everyone into the camera. I also don't feel it is necessary for the content that I produce. And then again, to the content, I think it also helps, if I'm not showing my face, so that not every store and dealer and so on will immediately recognize me and think, oh my god, there's a YouTuber coming into our store, now we have to behave differently or whatever. So I guess, with being a bit under the radar when I do these watch buying experiences for you, if I do the watch shopping episodes, the dealers, they usually never recognize me, and by that I can bring you the most authentic experience you can get. And I also think this wouldn't be possible, as said, if they would immediately recognize me and know, oh wow, there's a YouTuber coming to the store. So those two factors. So I want to keep my privacy, even though I'm not a VIP, and also for the content that I do for you, I feel it's just better. How do you see the future of the watch market? I think a lot of the more affordable companies might die, as Apple Watch will take more market share, and in general smartwatches might take over the segment. Watches will be more relevant as jewelry, is my suggestion, or will be more relevant for the real collectors. Those I guess will also always be there. So companies definitely have to take care of the watch collectors, and by that I guess that these luxury brands will become stronger, and other brands which are not taking so good care of the collectors and creating these like really nice high quality pieces might vanish from the market. Here from Hong Kong user question: how do you maintain your watch? So I actually clean them every 3 to 4 months. Try to use every watch at least once a month to keep the movement smooth, and besides that I bring them to the AD for normal services. Keen to know what your strategy is in establish relationship with AD worldwide. How do you give the confidence that you are not a flipper? Thanks. I think some of them, who know me now after a while, they are also now aware of my YouTube channel. So by that, first of all, they have like full transparency all the time about my watch collection. So they would immediately notice if I would flip a watch. I mean, I could never do these kind of collection updates or all the content with my watches when I show watch rolls or watch cleaning stuff, whatever. Then I would always need to use like archive footage, which I anyway don't store. But I think you can easily find out if especially a YouTuber is a flipper or if he's a real collector, so that shouldn't be too difficult. And then besides that, let's assume I go to an AD and he doesn't know about my YouTube channel and so on. Then what I usually try to do is I put on a very nice watch, which a flipper would usually not wear. And by that they already say, oh my god, this guy is wearing his Pepsi, he's wearing his Bad Girl, and so on and so on. So it's less likely probably that he's going to flip them. And now also the Explorer 39mm is a nice watch to wear. I mean, it was always cool, before also like a under the radar watch, which also maybe more the collectors would buy. But now as it's discontinued and it also skyrocketed in the value, and I still use it every day, or not every day, of course I rotate them, but at least a few times per month. And by that they will also see, hey man, this guy has an awesome collection, and this Explorer is now more than 2 years, 2.5 years or so in the collection. It has a lot of scratches and so on. I guess they will get a good feeling and they will definitely know if someone is a flipper or not. A friend of mine is 16 and he had the full gold and green Daytona 2, Hulk, a Pepsi Day Date, olive dial, and much more. And he won't tell me how he gets them so fast from his AD. Do you have any idea of how you would get such rare pieces so fast? He gets them within 6 weeks of each other. So I mean, it could be like everything. Maybe he has a very good relationship. Maybe even a relative of him or so is working in the store. I don't know. Or maybe he's buying a crazy amount of other watches. You are maybe not aware. Whatever. There can be a lot of reasons behind it. But I definitely guess that the stores, they will get a good amount of watches. But of course the demand is like crazy for Rolex. So but if they have one client they want to treat very well, I think they can definitely do that. Are Rolex authorized dealers required to only sell to their local customers, or they are allowed to sell internationally? So I think there's not like a, let's say like a law, of course, that they have to sell to local customers, but I guess Rolex advises them to sell to local customers. But again, of course, there can always be exceptions. So I mean, look, in Dubai, there are many tourists, and also these tourists, they buy a lot of watches, and if the local authorized dealer would say, no, sorry, you're not a local, they would limit the amount of customers a lot, of course. So I think, as said, Rolex, they probably want to push them to focus on local customers, but there can always be exceptions. What do you do for a living? We had this question in the first question and answer video, so if you want a more detailed answer, check that video. But I work in the oil and gas industry. Can you show us some high-end watch after 10 or 15 years of using? For sure. I will reach out to some of my friends if they would have a nice piece that I could use for such a video, and I'll definitely do it. For now, I only have the update videos of my, I think, Explorer. I did one recently where you see how many scratches and so on it has after 2 years. So yeah, but I'll check around if I can find an interesting piece that was used quite extensively for 10 or 15 years. And with that, guys, we're at the end of the video. So I think these were more than 40 questions. I guess it's a pretty long video. So thanks everyone who watched it until the end. Stay tuned to the channel, stay healthy, and then see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.